Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Maybe the facility you manage could establish new revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services. Cart King International can be the answer to your needs. Cart King is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile coffee, food, and retail carts and kiosks. Cart King has been working with clients and corporations across North America for 20 years, providing innovative designs, custom manufacturing, and timely delivery. Carts and kiosks are fun, and so are the dozens of designs on our website. Please visit us today at www.cart-king.com or just call us at 1-877-986-7771 and get your sales rolling.
If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law. PureSoapFlakes.com, 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with Pure Soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. They have a little promotion going on. Contact them to order some soap. Mention the Opperman Report. You're going to get a free gift. They're going to send a little extra soap, travel size, soap bars and laundry soap, cleaning soap flakes. I've been using that stuff all day long today. Great stuff. Order today at puresoapflakes.com or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild. The Opperman Report is brought to you by Aquadam.net. You can give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, the insurance companies to deal with, and not to mention all the memories, the precious memories that are lost in the flood. You can never replace those. And Aquadam can be a tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. The cofferdam is filled with water to control water and is reusable as long as it's taken care of. It can protect your home or business from rising floodwaters like a dam, but without the beavers. It can also be used in construction. If you need an area to be dewatered, an Aquadam can do the job. An Aquadam was used at SeaWorld in Orlando for the Mako roller coaster ride during the coaster's construction by dewatering the work area. An Aquadam is now dewatering the work area at San Antonio SeaWorld for their newest roller coaster ride. An Aquadam has been used in many construction projects all around the U.S. and all around the world. Now give Aquadam a call, 707-764-2119. You can look them up online at aquadam.net. You can find them on Facebook at Aquadam Inc. You call them up, you email them, you tell them Ed Opperman sent you, and they're going to take 10% off the price. Aquadam.net, 707-764-2119.
It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. You can get a hold of me at Opperman Investigations and Digital Forensic Consulting through my website, emailrevealer.com. As always, we have our members section at OppermanReport.com with exclusive content, exclusive shows, court documents, all kind of stuff that you can't get anywhere else at OppermanReport.com. Every Thursday night, I started a new project. Every Thursday night, 7 p.m., GetVocal.com. I do a live video podcast, okay? So help me out there, guys. I need you to go to getvocal.com, VOKL, getvocal.com, and sign up there, follow me, become a member. It's totally free. And as always, our archives are free at Spreaker.com. Our guest today, okay, this guy is fascinating, and he's written this great book. The book is called Gone at Midnight, The Mysterious Death of Elisa Lam. And our guest is Jake Anderson. Now, this is that story of that woman in the elevator that was acting odd in the elevator, and then they found her in the water tower naked, which is a really hard water tower to get into. So Mr. Jake Anderson has been investigating this and has spent a lot of time looking into this case. Mr. Anderson, are you there?
I am, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, tell us about yourself first before we get into this fascinating story. Who is Jake Anderson?
Well, I consider myself, a writer first and foremost, journalist. I do some activism work, and I would consider myself, just kind of a explorer of ideas. And I found in this case a kind of a nexus of a bunch of different things I was interested in. And I think of myself as kind of just an open-minded, independent journalist.
Excellent. So tell us about Gone at Midnight and this woman, Elisa Lam. Who was Elisa Lam?
So Elisa was a very interesting person. I didn't know her personally. I should make that clear. But what I did is I feel like I did know her because I read her blog entries online. And when I got interested in the case, like many people, I was drawn into the case from that, creepy surveillance video. And I just kind of kept by degrees digging a little bit deeper, and then I would take a break from it, and then I would dig a little bit further. And what drew me into the case was really her, and I was fascinated by her documenting her struggles with mental illness online. This was someone who really struggled with depression and bipolar disorder, and I empathize with that because some of those things run in my family, and I've had a lot of friends who've struggled with it, and frankly, most people know someone who struggles with that. Mental illness is very kind of an epidemic, and so I was kind of interested in how this case kind of encapsulated that in that, as well as you have someone who's very troubled, and then she ends up going to just about the worst possible place she could have gone to, this hotel with just this horrific history. And so it was just this weird, almost Shakespearean confluence of events that really drew me into it. And I was interested in her. I was not expecting to get involved in the case in terms of a criminal investigation or even any kind of parapsychology. I was just kind of interested in the psychological aspect and the sociological aspects of the case. The fact that, everyone would see this case, and it was like a Rorschach test. Everyone who saw it would see something else or get obsessed with some different aspect of it. And sure enough, I got obsessed with it too. And part of it was just, her as a person. She is very compelling, and it's very, very tragic that she didn't get to kind of come out of this and look back on it,
Now, was she someone who had a support system? Like, was she getting a treatment, the medication, the therapy?
It's a good question. Yeah, she was getting therapy. Based on her comments in her blog, it doesn't seem like she respected her therapist very much, and it doesn't seem like she was getting really good oversight as far as how the meds were working. She was prescribed meds. She was taking about 4 or 5 meds, and the bipolar is just notoriously very difficult to treat. It's very hard to find a equilibrium of medicines for someone. And as far as her support system, she did have a loving family. It does seem like she got support from her sister and her parents, financial support from her parents. Her friend network, I think she suffered from what a lot of people with mental illness suffer from, which is I don't think her friends really understood her very much, and I think they were kind of disturbed and frightened by her mood fluctuations. So she writes pretty extensively about being disappointed by her friends and whatnot. And not to throw her friends under the bus, it's a very difficult situation, but So it was a mixed. It's a mixed answer there as far as her support structure.
How about, like, did she have private medical insurance, or was this kind of like a state Medicaid?
So I don't know if she had private insurance. What she did speak about, she was very disgruntled by the Canadian healthcare system, and she basically describes it as a triage system where you can only get help for mental illness if you've actually tried suicide. She says that pretty expressly, that they won't consider me suicidal unless I've actually attempted suicide. And so it's a pretty widespread problem across the world of treating mental illness.
Yeah, it really is. If we just had a more comprehensive medical care for people, health care,
Absolutely.
we would avoid so many problems.
Absolutely.
Crime would go down. The biggest cause of bankruptcy is medical expenses. 70% of bankruptcies are because of medical
Absolutely,
expenses.
yeah.
It's good for the economy. Now, how did she wind up in this seedy hotel? It's in California,
Right, yeah, the Cecil Hotel, and I'll go into the history of that at some point. But yeah, she had been planning what she called her West Coast tour, and this was kind of an attempt by her. She wanted to travel, as most people do, and she was, young. She was 21, and she was ready to get out and do something, and she decided she was going to travel alone, which was probably misguided. But I don't know. A lot of people travel alone, and you don't expect something this horrific to happen. And but she did travel alone, and she had a whole itinerary set up. And one of her first stop was in San Diego, and then she was going to go up through L.A. all the way to Santa Cruz and whatnot. And but she for reasons we don't fully know, she booked a room at the Cecil Hotel. My guess is that she was looking for the most modestly priced hotel in LA, and a lot of people who don't live in LA or haven't lived in LA don't know the layout of the city well, so they look at the downtown area as a kind of middle ground where you can reach a lot of spots more easily. When really the downtown probably wasn't the best spot for her to be in, and particularly the Cecil Hotel, which is kind of right down there in the Skid Row area. Not a good place for anyone, much less a young woman with mental illness, to be staying alone. So that's how she ended up there. And we don't know the full story on how she got these roommates. She got these temporary roommates that lived with her there, and eventually asked the hotel to have Elisa moved out of the room because she was acting strange. We don't know the story on that because these women who supposedly stayed with her have never been identified, and we don't even really know if they were interviewed by the police. You have to assume they were, but we don't know anything more about it than that. And what the management says, which is that her roommates were complaining about her behavior, and moved her to a different room on that 5th floor.
How long was she staying at that hotel?
It was about I think it was about a 5-day stay. I think it was maybe 3 or 4. I don't know. I'm a little fuzzy on the numbers. I've taken a break from the case for a little bit, but it's in that number, about 3 or 4 days. And it was I think it was on the 3rd or 4th night she was staying there that this went down. And there's just really not a lot of information from her. She's a very prolific blogger and social media poster, but when for the duration of the time she's in the Cecil Hotel, there's very little autobiographical information on what she's doing. She's still posting on Tumblr, but she didn't have good internet access there, so she wasn't up to her normal Tumblr shenanigans. And as a result, we just don't really know much about what she was doing while she was there, which is unfortunate.
So we don't know how she met these roommates, and we don't know if these roommates have ever been interviewed. We don't have any written statements about the taken by the...
Oh, no. We know virtually nothing about the police investigation. The LAPD just absolutely refuses to discuss any aspect of the case whatsoever.
Okay, and what about text messages? Did she have a cell phone?
We don't know that either. We do know that she lost a cell phone when she was in San Diego. We know that because she wrote about it on Tumblr. Then we know that a friend of hers, probably in San Diego, let her borrow a different phone. We don't know what happened to that phone, whether it was recovered or what information was on it. That's something else that I'm sure the police know, but I don't know. Given the robustness of their investigation, it wouldn't surprise me if they just didn't even finish that line of inquiry or not. But we don't. text messages are usually the first thing that I would imagine investigators look at with a missing person case, but we don't really know if anything was found on that.
Did she have any other contacts in that hotel or in that neighborhood that did speak to the police or spoke to you?
Yeah, there was from the neighborhood. Well, there was. She went to the eerily named Last Bookstore in downtown LA. And she was buying some books for her family. And the manager of that hotel, Katie Orphan, she went on record saying that Elisa was there and she bought some books and that she was a very nice person and that she didn't really report anything unnatural. Now I turned up another person who talked to her, ironically enough, at the same bookstore, same place, a different perspective. And this man had a different perception. He saw what he saw was a very troubled woman who was very erratic, acting very strange, talking very loudly and interrupting, and just didn't seem to be. Basically, he described what was probably the start of a hypomanic episode. And so he said basically he felt that she was a danger to herself. As we know, women who suffer mental illness are far more likely to be targeted by sexual predators. And so that's the feeling he was getting. And he said a friend told him he should tell the police that story when Elisa turned up missing. And he did. He called into the police, but they never followed up with him. And he was never interviewed by the police. And this is the same police department who did not once consult their psychology department. Their in-house psychology expert told me that not once was he or his team consulted by the LAPD about bipolar disorder during this time. So you just have kind of a lack of curiosity going on. I attribute it to, at the same time this was going on, there was the Chris Dorner manhunt going on in Los Angeles. Chris Dorner was an ex-cop who was fired for reporting excessive force and basically kind of lost his mind and started waged asymmetric warfare on the LAPD and started assassinating people. And he wrote kind of a infamous Facebook manifesto. And this was probably one of the most chaotic weeks in the history of the LAPD. I mean, it's not often that an ex-cop literally wages war against a department and becomes a rogue assassin. That doesn't happen very often. And that was the same week that they were tracking him and ultimately, smoked him out of a cabin in the woods. And so this was the same week that was going on, and I think it's almost certain that had a huge impact.
Oh, yeah. The Donner story was overwhelming. They even shot up a car with a couple of people in it, like 70 bullets or something. They shot up some innocent bystanders. Right. And in Las Vegas, he had another home at Rhodes Ranch in Las Vegas. And the cops went there. They knew he wasn't in that house, and they shot up that house with giant bullet holes the size of baseballs. They were shooting kind of grenades at this house or whatever. And then they shut down the whole neighborhood. And when the kids got off the school bus to go home, the cops went to the school bus and walked these kids with rifles, cops holding rifles, walking these kids to their homes. They wouldn't let the parents go to the bus stops to get the kids. This is and you won't find pictures, by the way, of that house with those bullet holes anywhere on the internet. They've been scrubbed off the internet.
Yeah, absolutely. The whole Dorner chapter is an unbelievable story, and there's absolutely LAPD abuses that went on there, just as I document multiple LAPD abuses through their history in the book because it's relevant to the case, because it's important to remember that while I do have requisite respect for police officers and whatnot, the LAPD is historically one of the most corrupt departments in the country, and it's in analyzing this investigation, it's worth noting some of their past behavior. It was found during this time that they were systematically underreporting violent crimes in the city. There were multiple scandals going on, and one of them was basically fudging the numbers of how many violent crimes are going on. And so when you have a case where they're saying that a suspicious death was an accident, it makes you wonder whether it really was.
So, Jake, what I'm assuming here is she turns up missing, right? So they make a police report. The cops say, well, it's a Skid Row. It's a homeless person practically, mental illness. Yeah. I mean, next job, And stuff didn't really hit the fan until they find this woman's naked body in the water tank.
Right, yeah. I think the case really went into overdrive. First with the surveillance tape, that kind of got the public going on it. And once the public got going on it, that's when the police, they tend to treat cases that involve foreign nationals with a little bit more finesse. And so they had the family come in, and it seems like they were trying to do the right thing. I do question the release of that tape at all. I don't think that tape served any purpose except to stigmatize the victim and lay a foundation for their eventual conclusion, which I believe is likely faulty, or at least not the whole story. But when they discovered the body, it did go into overdrive, but it doesn't really seem like they ever treated it as foul play. It seems like basically that they. You need a lot of evidence to bring a case to a prosecutor. You need, an exorbitant amount of evidence. There's quite a number of cases that go unsolved for which there is, some evidence or even a majority of evidence. But if you don't have an airtight case, you don't bring it to a prosecutor, because prosecutors can't prove it unless they have like 99.9 something reason. They have to escape the reasonable doubt. So cops aren't going to bring, if cops don't get the killer or whoever it was, or whoever was involved, if they can't bring some reasonable conclusion to it, they're not going to bring anything to a prosecutor, and they're going to close the case because they don't want a bunch of open cases, especially one that's as famous as this one. So because like I said, the two main detectives, Greg Stern and Wallace Tennille, refused to discuss the case. I really had to go around. I had to go out of my way to find any information about what may have actually gone on in that investigation, and I still know very little. I invested years of research only to really find a few scraps that I think are important, but we still need more mobilization to really just get them to, come on, the investigation's closed, open up your files, let's look at what happened, unless you have something to hide. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, in some states they would be required to release those files.
Right.
Here in Florida, you would. Oh boy. Okay.
Yeah.
Describe. I know. But also too, 90% of these cases they get a confession. That's how these cases go to. They get confession.
Right.
From a confession.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you don't get that, Now, so you should keep your mouth shut.
Right. Yeah.
Say that when you're talking to the cops. Now, I guess the next thing is describe how they found this body.
Okay, yeah, it's a good question, and it brings me into some of the evidence I found. So, basically, this is one of the more grotesque parts of the case, but it's definitely one of the parts that people kind of gravitate towards. I don't know what that says about us, but the water, people were starting to complain about the water in the Cecil Hotel. There's full-time residents there, and then there's people that are just coming treat. So it's basically both an apartment complex and a hotel for travelers. So everyone was complaining basically, and a couple actually filed a class action lawsuit against them. It was a mess for them, but they didn't know what was going on. It was just all of a sudden the water was just gross and had sediment in it, and it was dark. And so basically they finally said, hey, maybe there's something wrong with the water. And so they sent a maintenance worker up to check. They have a gravity-based propulsion water system. So the water tank on the roof pumps the water from street level and then down into the hotel. And what he claims is that he deactivated the alarm system. There's only two ways to get to the roof: the fire escape and the main stairwell. He says that there's no way she would have been able to get on to the roof without the alarm going off. So he claims that they deactivated the alarm. He went onto the water tank, climbed up there, and that he said the lid was open. And when he looked in there, he saw, now these are his words, he says he saw an Asian woman in the tank. Now, I don't know from his vantage point really how he's making that estimation that he was able to make out her ethnicity. This was a body that had been decomposing for 2 weeks in the water. There was skin slippage. I find that statement highly problematic, but we'll move on from that. He found the.
Let me ask you a question, though. The man who made that statement, is he the only person who would have the key and the access to get through that?
No, he's not. Yeah, the security guards would have as well, But yeah, this man, Santiago Lopez, and he testified to this in the civil deposition, as did the manager, and he says the body was floating face up, which is also interesting because in the vast majority of drowning cases where the person drowned and wasn't placed there afterwards, the bodies are almost always floating face down. You can read any number of reports about this. So right there, you have two immediate weird things. How is he immediately knowing her ethnicity, and then why is the body floating face up? Now, so I did some research into Santiago Lopez. I really wanted to find him and talk to him. I couldn't believe that no one had interviewed this guy, or really anyone from the hotel. So what I found out is that I hired like a private investigator to kind of dig into this for me, because I'm not like a bulldog when it comes to these things. Like I'm too like, I don't know. I needed someone to really just dig in and say, screw this. I'm gonna find out who this guy is and what he's doing. So this guy wasn't able to find Santiago Lopez, but what he did find is Santiago Lopez's half-brother. And he talked to him on the phone, and what Santiago Lopez's half-brother found out, or so what he said was that Santiago all of a sudden left the country with his family soon after that case, and that he was given a large sum of money. Okay? He doesn't know where he got the money from, but he knows that Santiago just all of a sudden kind of disappeared with his family to Mexico, and was given a large sum of money. So that's what we know about him right now. I hired a Mexican private investigator to find him in Mexico, and he was not able to do so. So as of right now, the man who found the body, and in my opinion, most likely probably perjured himself about the way he found the body, is off the grid, off the map, and was given a large sum of money, presumably by the hotel. I don't know who else would have. I mean, that's a reasonable assumption to make, that you get the civil deposition and then you get the guy out of there because you don't want anyone else talking to him, right? But that's what I know about him. I don't think the lid was open. Because I spoke to a first responder he was a first responder with the LAPD at that time. He's now chief of police in a town in Wisconsin. So this is a guy who's worked his way up and really, and doesn't really have a reason to lie about this at this point. He's not even with the LAPD anymore. He says he was one of the first people to show up. All the tanks were sealed. All the tanks were sealed up. They were closed. Now, is it possible that Lopez just found the body with the lid open and then closed it and waited for the police to arrive? Possibly. I'm sorry. Like if I'm in his shoes, if I find a dead body, I'm not touching anything. Like I'm leaving everything the way it was, and I just don't. I don't know. I don't see him closing it back up. So, not to get too deep into the weeds here, but it's very problematic how the body was found, and the fact that we have so little information about it, to me, makes it extra suspicious.
Let me ask you this, Santiago, did he first when he first discovered this body, does he immediately call the police or does he talk to a hotel manager?
It's a good question. We don't know that either. We don't know how much time elapsed. We don't know who he told first. We don't know if, say, the management found out about this and then sat on it for a while and figured out what to do before calling police. Yeah. Now, the reason this is significant, and another point of suspicion for me, is that it turns out that during this time, the Cecil Hotel management was finalizing a multi-$100 million deal with the largest real estate firm in the world, CBRE. CBRE was acquiring the group that owns the Cecil Hotel. It was a massive investment. So this deal was finalized like a couple days after the body was found. So I think it's reasonable to ask what kind of incentive that they had for revealing what happened. Did they have an incentive for delaying the discovery of the body? And what role did management have, and really what was the timeline of what went on? I tried really hard to get more conclusive answers for this, but it's gonna take a little bit more pushing to kind of figure this stuff out. I don't understand why there seems to be this collusion between the LAPD and the Cecil Hotel management. I spoke to one former insider, a woman who worked for the LAPD, and she claims that she spoke to some private investigators that worked on the case, and that they believe basically that there was some kind of deal or something being worked out, that basically Cecil Hotel management was meeting with LAPD detectives in a highly unusual way around this time. So, I don't want to make accusations without knowing the facts. I'm just kind of trying to paint a picture for you of how weird and suspicious this timeline was. And I would desperately love to interview any of the Cecil Hotel management people, but they are completely silent. They won't speak, just the same way as the LAPD won't speak, just as the family won't speak. So all three nodes of information have just been completely sealed off.
Now, the Santiago Lopez deposition, did you get a chance to read that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you did. Okay. And in there, they never asked him if he reported this to the police first or to hotel management?
Now, it's a very simple and rehearsed answer. Like what he says and what the general manager, Amy Price, says, and what the civil engineer, Pedro Tovar, says are all very, very similar. Some of the exact wording, in fact, so that it really seems like they kind of had a set thing that they were going to say. And they address very few logistical details of, when the body was found, when they called the police, things like that. We just don't know anything about it.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, let's take a little commercial break. We're with Jake Anderson. We're talking about this book. It's an incredibly fascinating story. Gone at Midnight, The Mysterious Death of Elisa Lam. Now, you can get a hold of Jake. He's got a website called theghostdiaries.com. He's also on Twitter and Facebook. We'll be right back with more of Jake Anderson right after these messages. And now a word from our sponsors. If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law.
Are you ready to change your life, but don't know how to start? Is your stress and worries keeping you awake at night? Have you been battling grief, anxiety, or depression all alone? Have you lost touch with your own sense of being or spirituality? Soul Free Therapies offers professional and affordable live video streaming counseling and coaching services from the comfort of your own home. Sessions offered in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. Go to our website at www.soul-free.com and book your first session today.
The Opperman Report is brought to you by Aquadam.net. You can give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, the insurance companies to deal with, and not to mention all the memories, the precious memories that are lost in the flood. You can never replace those. And Aquadam can be a tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. The cofferdam is filled with water to control water and is reusable as long as it's taken care of. It can protect your home or business from rising floodwaters like a dam, but without the beavers. It can also be used in construction If you need an area to be dewatered, an Aquadam can do the job. An Aquadam was used at SeaWorld in Orlando for the Mako roller coaster ride during the coaster's construction by dewatering the work area. An Aquadam is now dewatering the work area at San Antonio SeaWorld for their newest roller coaster ride. An Aquadam has been used in many construction projects all around the U.S. and all around the world. Now give Aquadam a call, 707-764-2119. You can look them up online at aquadam.net. You can find them on Facebook at Aquadam Inc. You call them up, you email them, you tell them Ed Opperman sent you, and they're going to take 10% off the price. Aquadam.net, 707-764-2119. PureSoapFlakes.com, 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with Pure Soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. They have a little promotion going on. Contact them to order some soap. Mention the Opperman Report. You're going to get a free gift. They're going to send a little extra soap, travel size, soap bars and laundry soap, cleaning soap flakes. I've been using that stuff all day long today. Great stuff. Order today at puresoapflakes.com or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild.
It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. Don't forget, Thursday evenings, got a new start up there, getvocal.com, VOKL.com, getvocal. 7 p.m. live video podcast every Thursday night. Our guest today is Jake Anderson, Gone at Midnight, The Mysterious Death of Elisa Lam. And you can find him at his website, theghostdiaries.com. Now, Jake, we know about this bizarre video in the elevator. Did you come to any conclusion what she was doing in the elevator?
Yeah, well, I mean, no and yes, but it is fascinating, and I interviewed a couple of body language experts to try and get a kind of a feel for what may have been going on. I mean, I think we can probably conclude based on the fact that her toxicology report showed that she had gone off of 2 of her meds, the bipolar med and then the mood stabilizer med. I think we can conclude from that it's, and also based on other reports, that it's pretty likely she was probably experiencing some kind of hypomania or a mixed episode. A mixed episode is where you're kind of experiencing the low and the high of bipolar at the same time. So that would explain some of the hand movements. That's called psychomotor agitation. So there is a physiological analysis of this. If you look up just body language, Elisa Lam, you can get a pretty good explanation of it by Dr. Jack Brown. And then I spoke with another body language analyst and she kind of concluded pretty similar things. Basically, they can't say for sure why she was acting like someone was following her. You know, some people, I think if you track any regular person when they think they're alone and they're maybe thinking about something or stressed out about something, we can all do weird things. We can all any of us could look totally, out to lunch or it's easy to conclude things about people based on how they fidget, and stuff like that. But I mean, yeah, there are moments in this surveillance where it definitely, she obviously looks like she looks out and sees something and then hides in the corner. And at some point it almost seems like she's talking to someone. The body language analysts basically think that she was thinking about someone in a prurient way. There's kind of they believe this is what they believe, a kind of a flirtatious playfulness to what she's doing, in that they think that she was at the very least thinking about someone. The big question is whether that someone is someone who maybe isn't around, or someone who maybe is in the hotel, or maybe it's someone who's at the end of the hallway. We just don't know. But the surveillance tape is definitely very mysterious. There's also some weird glitches in the surveillance tape. At one point, the time code cuts, and basically the minute hand changes twice in 7 seconds, right as she leaves the frame, which would be the perfect time to cut it if you wanted to erase someone from it. Because when nothing's happening, you can cut between 2 moments of nothing, and it looks the same. But the time code cuts could also be the result of an automated timer on a surveillance system. So we just don't know yet. What was really going on in that surveillance tape. The explanations range anywhere from the paranormal, that she was feeling some kind of effect from the past atrocities that have taken place in that hotel. There's been dozens of suicides, murders, 2 serial killers that live there. And in fact, Richard Ramirez lived on that same floor, the 14th floor, where that surveillance was filmed. So that's one explanation. Then there's also just the idea of foul play, that someone was following her through the hotel and intimidating her in some way. Yeah.
You mentioned before the possibility of sex trafficking. A couple of questions now. How is she funding this trip? And are there other known instances of sex trafficking organizations going on at that hotel?
Well, I don't think I mentioned anything about sex trafficking, but
no, you didn't.
Yeah, no, but that is an angle that I've heard said before. It is. I mean, we can certainly talk about it, because there are people who have researched the case who believe that it's possible she got involved in some kind of sex trafficking thing. The fact that she doesn't write anything about it beforehand makes me think that it would have been, something that she fell into right upon getting into LA. And that's certainly possible. I just don't know of any. I don't know of any evidence for that. I do think that I know for a fact there have been sexual predators who lived in the Cecil Hotel. I document several in the book, several people who have gone on record. Not on record. One person was too scared to go on record, but she says that the employees there in the past would use the master key to basically break into rooms and sexually assault women. There's multiple accounts of people saying they felt creeped out or preyed upon by security guards there. So I think it's very possible that one of the security guards or someone was maybe trying to, give her a tour of the roof, for example, because at one point the detectives say, they said to one of the deputy coroners that I talked to that they had looked at the possibility that someone came to the roof with her, that someone let her on the roof. Now, the only person that could do that would be someone with a key, and that would be a security guard. And it would make sense. That would make sense. That would explain how she got on the roof, is that someone let her on the roof. But yeah, so I definitely think there is a sexual predation angle to this for sure. I don't know anything about specific sexual trafficking.
No, we were saying before that women with mental illness are a higher target of sex traffickers, which is why.
Sure, yeah.
Fit this.
Yeah. No,
because that's absolutely true.
That's absolutely true, and I just don't know of any organized trafficking behind it. But yes, there's. I mean, sexual predators. I would just look at them as. The way I think of it is someone in that hotel who saw that she was acting strange. The hotel knew that they had to move her to a different room. So the managers knew that something was going on with her. They would have had surveillance of her acting strange. And so if there was someone in that hotel who had access to roof and surveillance, that would be a perfect opportunity for them to prey on someone, because there was already a record of her acting strange. And it would be for a sexual predator, it would be a very ideal situation for them. So yeah, I definitely think that that's very possibly something that went on there.
Now, we know from this video she's acting strange in this elevator, but do we know, and people would assume right away, well, that's the last time she was seen on video, she must have been killed that night, but do we know really the time of death?
We don't have an exact account. We think maybe people who have analyzed the time code think it leads right up to about midnight. But yeah, we don't have an exact time for sure, and it's certainly not the only video of her in the hotel. In their part of their civil deposition or part of their police report, the detective Greg Stern even says that there's other surveillance video of her entering the hotel with two men who give her a box and then leave. And we haven't seen that footage. We don't know what it means. Frankly, I don't understand why they would release the footage of her in the elevator and not release the footage of her with two possible suspects who probably should be interviewed. I don't know. I mean, isn't that the point of releasing a surveillance tape? It's either to identify the victim or to identify any possible suspects. Well, in this case, the tape is so blurry and pixelated, you can't identify the victim from that tape. So really, what was the point of releasing that surveillance tape if you're not going to also release the tape of her with two men? I don't get that.
Now, this box, is this a small box, like a box of food, perhaps, or is it a big box of clothing?
Yeah, they didn't say. They just say a box. And
fascinating.
Yeah, it is fascinating. And I spoke with a bouncer at a restaurant around the corner. Cole's. It's a famous old sandwich shop. And just on a lark, I asked the bouncer there about the case, whether he'd heard anything about it. And he told me, and I had to double check with him multiple times to make sure we were talking about the same case. But he claims that he spoke with an off-duty cop the same week they were investigating the case. And this off-duty cop says that they found some of Elisa's belongings in a dumpster in Skid Row.
Get out of here.
And
okay.
That's,
But the official police version is that this is a suicide.
No, it's accidental suicide. Yeah, the official police, the official explanation is that she died. It was an accidental death with bipolar disorder as a contributing factor. So basically, they think that she went up there by herself for whatever reason, and a lot of people blame this on bipolar. They say, "Oh, well, she was bipolar." And it's possible. People do very strange things in a manic episode, but they basically think she climbed up there on a pitch black roof, took her clothes off, climbed up to the top of this thing, lifted a 40-pound or 20 or 40-pound lid off to the side, and then went skinny dipping basically in this water tank, and then she couldn't get out and drowned inside. That's what the police explanation is.
Okay, 2 questions for you. What was the weather that night?
Good. I looked into that. I went back and looked at the meteorology or weather site archive, and there was no rain that night. In fact, there was no rain in between the time that she went missing and in between the time that they searched the roof. So that means there is no way that if there was any DNA evidence up there, it would not have been washed away. And so how there was no DNA evidence whatsoever, how they were able to bring a canine unit, they checked the roof twice, didn't find her either time, and the second time had a canine unit attached to it, and the canine unit did not pick up any scent. Does that mean that she was not in the tank at that time but was put there later? Possibly.
And was it warm enough, though, that you'd want to go swimming that time of night?
Well, it's L.A., and it was January 31st.
Yeah, January.
It's January, but I mean, LA, LA gets warmer. I mean, that's to the point where, there's just no way to know what was going on in her head. If she really was in the throes of a very intense manic episode. People do very strange things, but I'm reluctant to blame someone's mental illness for something when there's reasonable suspicious evidence that something else could have happened. I can't imagine a worse thing than being killed and then having your death blamed on your mental illness,
Mm-hmm. And the clothing, did they recover the clothing?
They did. The clothing was in the tank with her, which meant, so they're saying that she went skinny dipping in a water tank at night on a dark roof and took the clothes and her key into the tank with her. It's pretty hard it's pretty hard to see why the narrative has changed so much. To now, people are saying, "Oh, leave this poor girl alone, or just let it rest. It's solved. It was an accident." I don't know. I really think this case needs to be reopened. It's very suspicious, and every new piece of information I found cracked into that narrative a little bit more. Like, I didn't find any exculpatory evidence, suggesting, oh, this really was an accident. Every piece of evidence I found was like, opening up Pandora's box a little bit more, making it a little bit more suspicious.
There's always this bizarre thing I read about this case. It's always stuck in the back of my head as just being so damn weird. There was some type of a defense contractor that was using that location as their address. What is that?
Yeah, the case became kind of I don't know, just a lot of very strange connections and synchronicities started taking place in the case. One of them was that there was, if you did a Google search of the Cecil Hotel, another business would pop up as being located inside that hotel. And the name of that business was the Invisible Light Agency. Okay, now no one knows what this company is. It was only listed as having like 3 people. And one of those people was a Raytheon defense contractor. And so a conspiracy was born that this was some kind of, PSYOP, some kind of military operation. Lisa had tweeted about an invisibility cloak. So there was even a conspiracy that this was some kind of military experiment to test out an invisibility cloak, and that's connected with the Invisible Light Agency. I didn't find anything to support that, but there was just so many strange synchronicities. Another famous one is that there was a tuberculosis outbreak at this time in downtown LA, and it was affecting the homeless population. And it was such a bad outbreak that the CDC actually dispatched like a team of federal scientists to go there in person. And, tuberculosis, there's a lot of different tests for it because there's different strains and you have different ways of treating certain outbreaks. So the name of the test for this outbreak of TB, which was occurring at the exact same time in the same neighborhood, was actually the Lam-Elisa test. I'm not kidding with you. That test already existed, so it wasn't named after her. It's just this incredible coincidence. It's an incredible synchronicity that, just makes you feel like that there's some, weird, dark intersection going on somewhere.
Now, what's the word on the street down there? Did you stay at the hotel for a week or two and get to know the people?
I stayed at the hotel twice by myself. I wasn't able to do it for more than a night at a time because I was just too creeped out by the place. I did try really hard to meet some people there. I spoke with a few tenants who live there. And again, as with all aspects of the case, no one wants to talk about it. Like no one who worked there at the time is still there. And no one who works there will talk about it in any way whatsoever. And it's closed right now, but at the time I was researching it, it was open. And the tenants are all very hesitant to talk about it too. They all basically think that she was, the word on the street from people in that area are definitely think that she was killed or that it was foul play and that someone in the hotel was responsible. That's
okay. We're talking to Jake Anderson. The book is Gone at Midnight, The Mysterious Death of Elisa Lam. Jake, we got about 1 minute. How can people find you? And what do you want to leave us with?
Well, I appreciate you talking to me during this strange time. And yeah, I just basically people should keep their eyes open for this case, and it's tragic, and the victim should be remembered. She was a very intelligent, awesome person, and I think she deserves to have this case dug into a little bit more. But if you want to read the book, you can find it on Amazon or Goodreads if you want like the ebook version or the audio version, or if you want to support your local bookstore at this time when there's no foot traffic. A lot of local bookstores have an online component, and you can buy it on there. But yeah, I would just leave people with, a lot of people say this case is closed, and I looked into it and I came into it with an open mind. I came into it thinking it was an accident, and my mind has changed, and I really think this case needs to be reopened.
Jake Anderson, Gone at Midnight, The Mysterious Death of Elisa Lam. His website is theghostdiaries.com. Jake, I appreciate, too, that you didn't take the sensational road in your approach to this story. I really appreciate that very much, my friend.
Thank you, sir. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, good night.
And now a word from our sponsors. If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law.
Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Maybe the facility you manage could establish new revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services. Cart King International can be the answer to your needs. Cart King is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile coffee, food, and retail carts and kiosks. Cart King has been working with clients and corporations across North America for 20 years, providing innovative designs, custom manufacturing, and timely delivery. Carts and kiosks are fun, and so are the dozens of designs on our website. Please visit us today at www.cart-king.com or just call us at 1-877-986-7771 and get your sales rolling.
PureSoapFlakes.com, 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with Pure Soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. They have a little promotion going on. Contact them to order some soap. Mention the Opperman Report. You're going to get a free gift. They're going to send a little extra soap, travel size, soap bars and laundry soap, cleaning soap flakes. I've been using that stuff all day long today. Great stuff. Order today at puresoapflakes.com or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild.
Are you ready to change your life, but don't know how to start? Is your stress and worries keeping you awake at night? Have you been battling grief, anxiety, or depression all alone? Have you lost touch with your own sense of being or spirituality? Soul Free Therapies offers professional and affordable live video streaming counseling and coaching services from the comfort of your own home. Sessions offered in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. Go to our website at www.soul-free.com and book your first session today.
The Opperman Report is brought to you by Aquadam.net. You can give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, the insurance companies to deal with, and not to mention all the memories, the precious memories that are lost in the flood. You can never replace those. And Aquadam can be a tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. The cofferdam is filled with water to control water and is reusable as long as it's taken care of. It can protect your home or business from rising floodwaters like a dam, but without the beavers. It can also be used in construction. If you need an area to be dewatered, an Aquadam can do the job. An Aquadam was used at SeaWorld in Orlando for the Mako roller coaster ride during the coaster's construction by dewatering the work area. An Aquadam is now dewatering the work area at San Antonio SeaWorld for their newest roller coaster ride. An Aquadam has been used in many construction projects all around the U.S. and all around the world. Now give Aquadam a call, 707-764-2119. You can look them up online at aquadam.net. You can find them on Facebook at Aquadam Inc. You call them up, you email them, you tell them Ed Opperman sent you, and they're going to take 10% off the price. Aquadam.net, 707-764-2119.